Welcome to Innovation Illuminated, a podcast where guest entrepreneurs and experts in their field of business share their experiences and knowledge learned through their journey in the business world. I am your host, Hunter Pirok, and similar to these guests, I am also an entrepreneur. Today's guest is Dylan Finn. Dylan works for a business called Vegas on Wheels. Vegas on Wheels was started by Dylan's father and is a gambling rental business. So basically how it works is, say a company is planning their Christmas party. They call it Vegas on Wheels if they want to do a casino night, and Vegas on Wheels takes it from there. They do casino-themed parties for these companies, so they bring in the dealers, the tables, and can bring in a DJ, decorations, to make it an all-around great experience for a Christmas party or an anniversary, and they also do some residential work with homes. This is an interesting business because it's play money that they're gambling with, and a lot of people really get into the sport of gambling with this play money and think it's real money, which is kind of interesting to hear from Dylan with some experiences that he has with customers having a great time gambling with fake money, like I said. But we talked through his experiences with customers, what makes a good dealer, and also his journey through growing the business. We talk about how it's changed and how they've made changes to starting with blackjack tables to eventually offering a variety of games. And also, I didn't know that you changed the felt on tables to make it a blackjack table or a poker table. So we talk about the process of that and where he gets it done and whatnot. I hope you enjoy this one, and thanks for tuning in to Innovation Illuminated. All right, Dylan, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no problem.
Let's get this started. Yeah, I'm excited. So when did you become involved with Vegas on Wheels, since it was your dad's that started it?
Yeah, so my dad started in about 1999. He's always been an entrepreneur. So he's owned a few different businesses, and for some reason, Casino Party Company kind of wound up on his radar.
Uh-huh.
He's always been a gambler. So he kind of liked the idea of incorporating both of them. So he worked for another company for a few events, kind of figured out how they did it, kind of figured out, okay, how I can do it a little bit better. Then he actually rented tables from that company and started doing his own parties and found his own dealers and stuff, and then eventually built his own equipment and just started doing it on his own completely. And then I'd say I was 15 when I started helping him. So
Okay.
I'm 31 now, so 16 years ago. I'm not going to try to do math right now, but
Yeah.
so 16 years ago, I kind of just started setting up, doing kind of the basic stuff. My dad would tell me, hey, come help me and we'll go get McDonald's or something. And I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. But so that's kind of how I got started, just doing parties, dealing a little bit. I didn't really run the business at all. I didn't really help with any of that. I was just kind of more of a employee.
And he started with I didn't know he started with a different business before.
Yeah.
So he kind of got mentored or an apprenticeship kind of at that business and learned the ropes and then went off on his own.
Yeah. So I think he just kind of worked for the guy and kind of wanted to figure out how it worked out. Because I think he had the idea and he saw that there was a spot for it.
Okay.
And he just kind of want to figure out how to do it better than him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where it kind of went from there.
Gotcha. All right, let's get into how the business works kind of. I'm interested to learn about this too. So you said that he started with renting the tables, but where and how do you customize the tables? Because for the listeners, it's customize all the tables, say Vegas on Wheels, the chips say Vegas on Wheels, everything. Where do you get those and where can you customize them?
Yeah, so you can buy the stuff online. So actually the first set of tables my dad built himself, he got sponsored by a offshore betting
No way.
website. Yeah, so a company out of Jamaica actually sponsored to put their logo and stuff on their first set of tables. So that's how he built all the tables themselves. It wasn't until about I'll say 8 years ago that we went back and rebranded all the tables to our own. So what we did is we found a distributor out of Las Vegas that does all the custom printing of the felts. And
Okay.
then same with the poker chips.
Got
So
it.
all the poker chips we just get from a guy in Las Vegas. And that's kind of his deal.
Gotcha.
He does all that custom stuff.
So the Jamaican one, it was their logos all over the table?
Yeah, so the logo had, it was called betjamaica.com, I think. And there was the logos on the front of the table, and in the betting circles, there was their logo.
And did they pay for the tables?
Yeah, so they paid to construct the entire table.
So you guys didn't pay anything for the tables?
No, so that's how my dad eventually built more tables. Because in about like 2006, he was getting really busy with, he had a few contracts with like Quad Graphics as their event planner manager. So he would go to all the Quad Graphics and do really big events with like 50 or 60 tables. Well, he needed a way to make more tables because he had only had, we'll say 20 at that time. So I don't know how he got in contact with these people. But yeah, they sponsored and they put their logos on everything and they paid for all the tables and everything. So it's pretty cool. I don't know the whole story of how he got in contact with them.
Yeah.
But I know that's how he built a lot of the tables.
Okay, so then you already had the tables, and then it was just new felt that you put on it?
Yeah, it was
with
just
your
a new
branding?
felt with our own branding.
Okay.
We worked with, his name was Steve, and he kind of helped us figure out like a good design, all that kind of stuff.
Okay. Now let's walk through how an event is planned. For the listener, I did a little bit of an intro too before. Basically, it's party hosting and casino night events for businesses mostly, but you also do some residential stuff at people's houses and stuff. So walk through kind of like how an event is planned. Like people just call, and where does it go from there? Is it multiple calls usually with like an event coordinator, or who's the person that's calling you guys too?
Yeah, definitely. So a lot of some businesses have an event coordinator. Most of them, it's an HR person that reaches out to us. So most of our leads come in through the website. We just got a CRM platform. I know that's another question coming up, so I'll save that for later. But they fill that out. We get an alert that we got an inquiry. Then my sister Alyssa, who is also part of the business, sends them an email with a quote. Once we go from there, when it gets close, they'll either accept it or decline it. We get closer to the event date, and then we'll start working out those details like, is this your time? Who's the venue manager? Things like that. So it kind of starts with getting their information. They'll sign the contract anywhere between like a year and like 2 weeks before the party.
Okay.
I mean, that's kind of like our cutoff.
Yeah.
And then from there, we'll just kind of do all the planning for them. They kind of have an idea of where they want the event just based off of where their company is. Sometimes they'll ask for recommendations, but not too often.
Okay.
We'll collect a 50% down payment. That kind of secures the date, because what we've had in the past is people, they won't give the payment and all of a sudden they'll back out. And that kind of ruins it for us, because then, we allotted those tables for them. So.
Right, and then you can't book another event because you already booked the one and cancellation and stuff like that. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Totally.
Like we have one coming up this weekend. It's a repeat customer. We normally don't do this, but they cut their party in more than half.
Just last minute?
Yeah. They contacted us on New Year's Day, and then the party's on the 6th. So
yeah.
I felt kind of bad about
that's tricky.
Canceling people, but
because they've done it years past, they kind of had an idea of numbers, so you'd think they would have had that down pat. How do you kind of gist or map out stuff people are going to need? I know people might say like, hey, we have 50 people that are going to come to the party. How do you kind of get a guesstimate of how many tables or whatnot that you're going to have?
So when doing this for 25 years, we have a pretty good idea of like what the best breakdown will be for almost every size group up to like 250 people. Once it gets over that, then we kind of are, I don't want to say winging it, but using like an educated guess. But yeah, for a 50-person party, we kind of know what to bring that will allow for the best setup and best like usage, because we don't want to bring a bunch of games that people aren't going to play. So for like 50 people, we know it's going to be 4 blackjack, a roulette, a craps, and a Texas Hold'em. Like we just know that works because it accommodates about 45 people. So, and not everybody's going to play at the same time. Some people are going to leave early, all that kind of thing. So that's kind of how we plan for it. Like we plan for like a 90% participation rate.
Okay. Gotcha. For the number of people that are going to be there.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. How did you start out? I know now you use a booking software, but originally you started with doing like text message to dealers.
Yeah.
Can you explain how like the transition of starting with like the text message, how unorganized it was, or like a hassle or whatnot? And like the advantage of going with a booking software to schedule employees. And this can be used for a lot of different businesses, like definitely. My surfing business or other people's businesses that have to schedule employees that could be on like a retainer or that aren't always working events and aren't like a full-time employee, that this booking software could help a lot of people with getting people to work events and staying organized.
Yeah, definitely. So it started off with my dad just calling people. And obviously that can lead to a lot of confusion. And that was kind of before like the internet was a real thing. Once the internet became a thing, he actually started using Staffmate, which is still a company. They do a lot of stuff for like caterers and restaurants and stuff like that. But in 2008, when the economy kind of collapsed, he lost a lot of his business. Like his business was cut in an eighth. So he
Really?
so he couldn't afford to do the Staffmate anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when he went back to like the calling and texting thing. So what we would do is we'd call people. We had a spreadsheet on Excel. It was super unorganized. It was inaccurate. It never worked right. And so eventually one day, my dad, after a horrible event where we had way too many people show up, my dad and I started looking at some different options for the staffing thing. And the problem for us is that there's not many that are catered to like casino nights, because so many restaurant one, it's one location, right? Maybe 2 or 3, but it's the same 3 locations. Where a casino night, we're always moving around. We rarely have an event at the same place.
Time slots even too.
Yeah, even time slots. Like our parties are never just from like, we'll just say lunch shift from 10 to 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, it could be from anywhere. I mean, it could be all day. We've done parties at any time of the day. So, so right now we use dealer staffing, or no, not dealer staffing, excuse me, event staffing, which does our dealer staffing for us. It's a text message based where people can reply, they get a text message with an invite, they can click accept or decline. It also goes to their email. So if they're older, and they don't use text message, they can use their email. And that's been awesome for us. It sends out a bunch of reminders to remind people, because it is a gig job, and I do try to staff out about a month in advance, and people forget. So it sends out a 48, 24, and 4-hour reminder.
Yeah, that's awesome. And do you have to put in like, do you just put in like everybody, for example, my name, your name, a bunch of people's names in the software, and then just like, say an event pops up, you log the event, and then just check mark, these people are going to invite it to the party, and then if they accept, they're on it. If they decline, they're off it. Is that how it works?
Yeah, so that's how I have mine set up. Other companies that use the same software have it set up where as soon as a party is entered, it goes to everybody.
Okay.
I didn't necessarily like that, because I didn't think that it would allow for like a lot of people to work. I feel like,
just the quickest finger was going to get it every time.
The same 20 people that are looking at their phone the majority of the day are going to get all the jobs. And then in December, that doesn't do me any good, because I have 40 or 50 people trying to work. So I can't rely on the same 20 people that were just happen to be looking at their phone when I sent out the invites. Right. So yeah, I kind of pick and choose. Sometimes it's based on who I want to drive together to some of these events, because I do ones that are further away, 2 or 3 hours. I got to kind of think of like who's going to drive together, because I don't want to pay everybody to drive separately. That doesn't make too much sense. So.
Yeah, no, makes sense. And for like a long event like that, and any event in general, how do you like cut the checks for everybody? I don't have any experience in like cutting checks like that. Where do you print checks and whatnot for that?
So I use QuickBooks for everything. So you can make the checks out in QuickBooks, and then I do print them all manually. I kind of want to try direct deposit. It costs a little bit. Where the checks are kind of free. I mean, I pay per check, but they're not that much. So I print and sign all the checks and kind of do it that way.
Just at a home printer?
Yeah, just at a home printer. Yeah, you don't need a special printer.
Okay. And is it like check paper?
Yeah.
Or is it printing out the whole check?
So it is a piece of paper that is I buy from a company, and it has all the check information on it. It's just typing out your name, the amount of money you're getting paid, and that's it.
And then you just put it in the printer, and then it feeds out and puts your name, the amount of money, and then you just have to sign the back, or is the back already signed?
I sign the front.
The front.
You sign the
Yeah.
I've made the mistake before almost. One time I caught myself because I'm so used to depositing checks that I almost signed the back of a few.
So you sign it once they come out of the printer? Or?
Yeah. Okay. I haven't figured out how to make it so I can
like an e-sign or something. Yeah. Okay.
And I've had some problems with feeding issues with the checks. So sometimes I have to print them, so I'm kind of afraid to do the e-signing where it would have to go through a second time.
Yeah, okay.
I don't want to reprint checks all the time.
Makes sense. I didn't know how that works. I'm learning something new today.
I had no idea. It's super easy on QuickBooks. I just load them all in. Like this weekend, I have 36 people working for me. So, I'm not writing 36 by hand. I'm literally clicking on their name, typing in how much they're getting paid that day, and printing.
So you have all the people just like in the what is it, event
QuickBooks.
something?
No, well, in QuickBooks. So
Okay, but same people are in the event and QuickBooks?
Yeah.
Okay.
So everybody's name is in the e-event staffing thing. That's where I pull a lot of people's like addresses and stuff. And then I have them in QuickBooks too.
Gotcha. Do you use QuickBooks for anything else or just the checks?
All accounting stuff. I don't
Okay.
I don't use it for the payments. We use our CRM software for that now.
Okay.
And previously I used Square. So I don't use any of those features.
Okay. Gotcha. When and what was the pivoting point when you decided on expanding and offering more types of casino games? I know your dad started out with just blackjack tables.
Yeah.
When was like the pivoting point that you guys wanted to expand to do roulette, craps, all types of casino games?
I think craps and roulette and poker. Well, poker was super popular when my dad started the business. So he had a lot of poker tables because he kept getting calls about poker tournaments because poker at that time was super popular. So I think at one point he had like 20 poker tables. We since have reduced that because it's not so popular. And then roulette and craps are just really popular games in the casino. So he knew he had to add those. He didn't build his own craps table right away. He actually bought a few different ones for mobile casinos, and then eventually saw that he could build his own and make it more or a little bit more mobile because the other ones are kind of big and clunky. The other games that he's added, like the bonus games, those have just kind of came as customers have requested them. We don't like go out of our way to add games, but if we realize enough customers are asking for a game, we will add it.
Okay.
If we can.
And your dad built the craps tables? So he's a woodworker too?
Yes.
Okay.
So the craps tables, I don't know if the listeners know what they look like, but they're kind of big and wooden. They don't look like a poker table does. And I
can't, a bathtub almost.
Yeah.
That's like the closest
I can't really describe a
think.
craps table very well. It's a
just look it up. Yeah.
Big wooden tub. And so yeah, unless there's somebody that like we get a bunch of requests about a certain game, we won't add it.
Okay. Gotcha. And he would make like those games, or can you just buy like that money wheel or like some like off games like that? Do you just buy those online, or does he make them too?
Yeah. So you can buy all the felts.
Okay.
So with our tables, we can just redo them pretty quickly.
Ah.
So if somebody asks about a different game, we just take like a blackjack that maybe has a rip or a tear or a really bad spill on it. We'll take that felt off and put the new one on.
Really interesting. And you get that from the guy in Vegas too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
He has most of them. Most games.
Okay.
Some games are owned by like other companies now, so we can't really get replacements for those. You know, like they're owned by a company, so they will go after you for licensing. So we can't get those anymore, but most of them we can.
Gotcha. In your eyes, what makes a client's party a successful experience for them, and how do you incorporate like focusing on the experience to make it the best party possible to maybe get them as a return customer for the following year? I know with my businesses, I try to like emphasize like the experience to really hone in on that it's important that the customer has a great experience, because then they're going to tell people. And I feel that nowadays, like the experience is like everything with business, that everybody just wants the best experience, and that's what they're paying for. I feel like people don't want the materials anymore. They just want the great experience. So how do you ensure that the customers have a great experience, and what defines a great party for you, a successful party?
Yeah. So a successful party for us is when we see a lot of the customers at the tables having fun. You know, you've been to enough parties where they're not interested in playing, you know, or fundraisers where they just don't have the people show up like we thought they would. And I think we were at one recently where they had more dealers than players.
Oh yeah.
I think you were there.
Yeah.
And so a successful event would be where like I said, that 90% of people play, they're all having fun. You know, the host maybe makes a comment that, oh, people are playing, this is really cool. That's kind of for us, like the energy in the room. You'll feel like you'll hear cheering even though it's fake money.
Yeah.
That's kind of like when you know that you have a successful event is when those kind of things are happening. Like everybody's playing, everybody's having fun.
Yeah.
Like, and even though it's all for fake.
Right. Yeah. Even though it's all play money, but it is fun to win sometimes. I know a lot of people get super into it.
It is. Yeah. I mean, we've done parties for professional sports teams where these guys are making millions of dollars and they're cheering about fun money.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like, dude, it's play money.
Yeah. It's play money. Like a professional athlete. Like
Right.
this is nothing to you, but you're still having fun.
But
So
they
that's
get a
kind of
rush
cool.
out of it.
Yeah,
So yeah.
that's what's cool for me is when you see that kind of rush out of people,
Hmm.
even though it's for fun.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. That kind of defines a successful party for you. And so you do a follow up the next week, I believe, after the event is done. Do you kind of ask for their opinion or for them to write a Google review or kind of get their idea of how the party went as well?
Yeah, so even earlier, we'll try even ask on a Monday or Tuesday following the party. Most of our parties are on Friday, Saturdays. So on that Monday following, we'll try to ask for a Google review, and then we'll also ask if they had anything that they'd like to change for next year or any comments or concerns that they had about this year that they had.
Hmm.
Um, or if we could change anything for the next event.
Okay.
So that usually starts like almost the day after the event. We'll try to collect all that information.
Are most of the people that coordinate the party and or call you, are they usually attending the party?
Most of the time, yes.
Okay.
I have had a few experiences where the person is planning it remotely, but almost every single time the host that is planning the party is at the party, at least at some point.
Hmm. So you're setting up and they're kind of telling you where to put tables and stuff?
Yeah. Well, the where to put tables would be more of the event coordinators. So like, someone at the venue.
Okay.
It would generally does the planning of where the tables go.
Hmm.
So what they'll do is they'll put together a layout for us, a floor plan, and then kind of tell us where to go. Then we adjust that floor plan based upon what we think will be the best layout sometimes, and then we go from there.
Gotcha. I'm going to take a second to tell you about something that I learned a couple months ago that I just thought of I'm going to incorporate to my business is this surf business, Wake Surf Tampa in Florida. I was down there with them. And every time that they take clients in, they pull out an iPad and it's a Google form. And so you can rate the service from 1 to 10. And then right there, it's a Google review too. So you can type in, first thing you put your name, the date, the time that you were there, your experience, like 1 to 10, anything memorable, the crew members too, that like say like me and you were on the boat with them or something like that. And then at the bottom too, there's like a thing for gratuity. So it could be like cash, Venmo, or check. And then like follow us on social media. And I thought that was a super easy way to get that information out of people and then just get an immediate Google review. You can just show them the iPad, they fill it out quick, like, hey, could you please do this quick survey about the party or about surfing with us? And it's just so easy. So I'm for sure gonna do that. And I think maybe you could incorporate that too into the business somehow because it's so much easier than having to reach out like a couple days later and be like, could you do a Google review? People are going to be like, no, I don't want to do a Google review. Like it was 3 days ago and I don't want to take the time out of my day.
Do you know if that's like an app or if it's like a plugin or like what is that you are able to have the customer type into?
Yeah, so it's just a Google form. So I believe it's an app. I haven't looked into it too much. I'm actually going to make it this week, but from my understanding, it's just a Google form that you like go into the app, pull it up, and then they can just type it in. And you could, if you didn't have the time or something to give it to them, you could send them, I think, the link to the Google form, so then they could fill it out like the next day or something.
Yeah, so that's what we do is we send them a link to the Google review. But
Okay.
for you, what you could do with your surf business is you do a QR code, maybe like somewhere on the boat, maybe, and say, hey, if you leave a review, the next time we'll give you X amount off or this credit towards your next surf lesson. So for you, and then you have their email, you could get their email list. Although I'm sure you collect that when you
you collect it when they book it. Yeah, but I was just thinking it was such an easy way because first thing, it's awkward to ask for tips and gratuity. I'm sure you don't want to ask for that stuff.
We try not to.
Yeah, and it's a lot of people do though. I know for the event business, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, we don't do tip cups or anything like that anymore. We used to, but then it kind of got to the point where like dealers were begging for them, and we didn't feel like that's appropriate. Also, what happens for us sometimes is the host tips us ahead of time, and if a host tips us ahead of time, I think it looks bad to have your dealers also asking like customers for tips because sometimes they're like the clients and stuff. So that's the hard part. One thing I thought about doing for reviews, and it's pretty common in the casino party rental industry, is some of the other companies around the United States make their dealers get reviews. So part of their job every night is to get one review.
Really?
Yeah. So what they do is on their name tag, they'll like put a QR code on the backside to leave a review or something. So like that's another way that we've kind of thought of getting more reviews and maybe a little bit more feedback, and then incentivizing the dealers to get more reviews.
Huh. Yeah, that is interesting. I like that concept because I feel like a lot of people, they build a relationship with the dealer.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it's so much easier. Like they're having a great time making fake money, but
Oh yeah.
it's still fun for them. And then, yeah, just review at the end of the night would be sweet.
Yeah.
And a lot of people actually tip the dealers too, even though there's no tip jar.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, like I had an event like a month ago
Mm-hmm.
that the people booked a private party with us, and they're mad because I wasn't there. Because I was dealing to them at that party the previous year, and they
Mm.
go, "Hey, you weren't at our private party." Well, I'm sorry, you didn't like ask for me, so I didn't know to be there. But
Yeah.
it is weird that some people remember the dealer that they had, their name, what they were interested in. I mean, it happens more often than even I'm aware of.
Mm-hmm.
So what I do try to do is I do try to have dealers at the same parties if I know that it's a repeat customer, because it just seems to work out well that way, where they have like a connection to that dealer,
Right.
and then I think that also enhances their experience as a player. Because like I said, it's all for fun. So the dealers are more so there for entertainment purposes and not exactly to like be a professional dealer.
No, totally. Yeah. I want to like segue into kind of just piggybacking off that. What do you think makes a good dealer to be
Yeah.
like fun at these events?
Yeah. So I know I'm going to kind of go against what I just said, but the people that are professionally trained to be dealers, I think do a little bit better of a job, because they're not thinking about dealing the game. I have people that work at the casino, right? They deal this game thousands of times a day, maybe. I don't know exactly.
Mhm.
So they're not thinking about the game. They're just talking to customers. Where if I have a dealer that's maybe newer, they're more so worried about the game.
Mm.
So, I think that people that make good dealers are people that are social, right? If they can talk to people, I mean, you don't want, it's not fun to be at a party and you're just talking to a wall, really, right?
Right.
Like you want to interact with people. So what I think makes a good dealer, someone that's knowledgeable about the game, because a lot of people do come to learn. A surprising number of people have never played before,
Mm-hmm.
which that's fine. Like our dealers like to teach people. And then being social is probably second. I would say being a good dealer is kind of lowest on the totem pole. Like as long as you're knowledgeable and you're social,
Yeah.
being like the best dealer in the world isn't going to make a big difference. It's more so just you're entertaining the guests.
Yeah. And it's
So
play money. So as long as the
it's
guest
play
has a great experience,
yes,
then I feel like they're a good dealer.
yeah.
Do you actively market for business for looking at clients, or do you mostly rely on word of mouth from previous clients?
So word of mouth is probably our biggest
Mm-hmm.
way of receiving new clients, but we do Google ads. I post on social media every so often, and then there's also popping up lately have been a lot of websites that try to drive leads to gig kind of style of events. So like there's been a bunch like I said that have popped up, and what you do is you put in all of your information, and then you pay per year to be like a member of their website. We've had a little bit of success with that, not much. And then probably the last is I've joined a few networking groups, and just to kind of get my name out there with like other DJs, photo booth people, venue people. But I'd say like word of mouth has definitely been our probably best way of getting more business.
Mm. And what are these networking events that you can see DJs and photo booth people and kind of make it a whole experience for the customers where you can get decorations in their
Yeah.
DJs and photo booths? How'd you find out about these networking events with these people?
Yeah, so one way I found out about the networking events is I actually joined a organization that specializes in casino parties.
Mm.
So this year, well, I shouldn't say this year, but I've over the past few years I've gone to an event that they hold, and I finally became a member. So I was able to go to all of the, like breakout sessions, and the one of the sessions was about networking, and I realized that was a big part of my business that I was missing. Um, we kind of always had the idea that we were the best at doing casino parties, and we didn't really have to learn anything. And we didn't. How do I say this? We didn't really think that there was anything that we could learn.
Yeah.
So when I went to this networking event, the speaker talked about networking and how important it was. And one thing that stood out to me was everybody was like, or he asked a question, and the question was, how many organizations are you a part of? And he said, or everybody who's a part of one organization in their community raised their hand. I looked around the room and I was one of the only people without my hand up.
Really?
So then I said 2, and I look around and still most of the people have their hand up. 3. Okay, now a few hands go down. 4, a few go down. 5, most of the hands are down. So what I realized though is that the biggest companies in my industry were all the people who were in 3, 4, 5, 6 networking groups. So I kind of switched the way that I did things. So one thing I did is I joined NACE, which is National Association of Caterers and Events. So that is one that I joined. So they specialize in bringing all these people that are in either caterers or event kind of people, like DJs, photo booth, venues, bringing them together, and they'll do dinners and stuff like that. They'll do little breakout sessions, kind of inform you about things that are changing in the industry coming up. So that's one thing I've done to kind of network and, meet more people. And then wedding shows. So I've done a few wedding shows, not more so to target weddings because that's such a small part of a business, but it was more to network with the people inside of the, event business, the people that are DJs, photo booth, chairs, balloon decorations, those type of things.
Right.
So
yeah. Okay.
So a lot of that I did more as a networking thing. Also with the wedding shows, everybody has a job, right? I mean, most people do. So, and being younger, or not targeting younger people, they're in that role of like HR or maybe in the event planner role in their business because they're the younger person, they're newer. That's kind of like the role that seems to get put onto those people. So my idea was like, if I can target those people and then they can go back and be like, hey, I went to the wedding show and it was really cool, but I found this that we could do for a Christmas party. Like that's kind of my idea behind it.
Yeah. And also, the DJs or something could be booking a party and then they ask the DJ, hey, what would be like a fun thing or something? Casino night could pop up.
Yeah.
I'd think in their head or something.
Yeah. We just had a florist that recommended us to a wedding the other day.
Oh, and they were doing the wedding?
Yeah, they did the wedding. It was last week. And they did the wedding as the florist, but they called us as the casino party because the customer wanted something different, like entertainment wise.
Okay.
So, I mean, it could be anybody.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I think that we were missing out on is that anybody could be the next customer or the next like person that brings us a lot of business.
Yeah.
Because like one thing that we're missing out on, I think, is like event coordinators or like, I guess I'd call them event coordinators. Like we don't have a lot of those kind of people in our network, which is I think where we're kind of missing out.
Right. Gotcha. What are some events that pop into mind as like being unique or like funny, more like a fun event or
I mean
a challenge event maybe too?
Some of the more fun, I mean, the most fun one I've ever done is the one for the professional athletes. Because I never in my lifetime thought that I would get the opportunity to work with a client that's that big. Like it was just, that was a super unique one. We brought some decorations. We brought a DJ to that one. And it was just a unique crowd. You're in front of a lot of people you never thought you would be before. So that's probably one of the most fun events I've ever done. More so starstruck.
Yeah. Can we say who it was?
I don't know if I can.
Okay.
I can't even post pictures of the event. So
yeah,
I don't know.
That stinks. Yeah.
So it kind of sucks. But so that's probably one of the coolest ones. Trying to think of other ones. We just did one that was a Great Gatsby, like Roaring 20s.
Oh, that's fun.
That one was really cool. They had a lot of decorations, and they had like, the venue was kind of set up like a speakeasy. So that one was really cool. And kind of was a cool like tone like to that event, like a really fitting, I don't know what you call that, theme.
Yeah, to the casino night type of thing. Yeah. Have you had any that were like crazy turnarounds or something where they're like, you got to get out of here by this time and otherwise it's not going to work out type of thing, like a big challenge like that?
Yeah, we just had one a few weeks ago, and they gave us a half hour to set up a party that was relatively big. And because they were using the one room as like an area for like cocktail hour, and then there was 500 people in that room. Well, within an hour, they had to get those 500 people out. We had to set up, which really only after everybody got out only allowed us for, like I said, about half hour to get in. And then they broke down the partition, and we had to be ready to go.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I know I said an hour, but it really came out to about half hour that we had to set up after, all the chairs and stuff like that.
How many people do you have with you helping?
That party I brought extra people because the window was so tight. So that time we had 4 people. Normally it's just 2.
Mm-hmm.
But that time we knew the window was going to be tight, so we brought a few extra.
Gotcha. How do you juggle everything? I know you have a different job. You're a
Yeah.
father, husband. How do you juggle all your work?
Well, I would like to thank my wife first off, because without her, I don't think that I'd be able to do it. And my in-laws, they do a great job. My wife and in-laws, they take care of the kids. If I have something going on, my in-laws come over and they'll watch the kids for a few hours and just be a huge help. So that's definitely one thing that helps. Also, my other job is really flexible.
Okay.
I mean, I work, 7 to 3:30 every day. But if I say, hey, I got to get out of here, they're pretty understanding as long as we're not extremely busy.
Okay.
But yeah, that makes it tough. Definitely kids is something that makes everything a little bit
Yeah.
harder. Before I could just go, I just said, hey, I'm not going to be home tonight. Now I get home and my son goes, you're going to work again? Yeah, I got to go to work again. I'm sorry. Those are the tough things that happen with that.
Yeah.
So, hopefully that answered your question. It's hard to juggle. I work on stuff at night after the kids go to sleep, or at work while I'm on breaks. I work I bring my laptop to work, so I really don't take a break. I kind of work my whole day at work.
Okay.
So
that's crazy. I know we've talked about it before that it's so tough to juggle stuff.
Yeah.
And you were telling me to not have a girlfriend, live at home as long as I can, to keep business going and to experiment with things before there's so many liabilities or dependent people relying on you, which is tough.
Exactly.
So I know for a lot of young entrepreneurs, maybe this could be something to tell them to get going right now, to not wait until you have all these things that you have in your life that are making it tough for you. Yeah. I know that you juggle it, which is impressive, but I'm sure it's tough some days too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, during December, I think we had 41 events during December.
Ooh.
And that was in about a 3-week window. So, I mean, I wasn't home a whole lot. So that was tough. But like I said, my in-laws are great. They help with the kids. They pick them up from daycare and all those types of things. So yeah, it's tough. Definitely for young entrepreneurs. I mean, you're a young entrepreneur, take advantage of it. You can take a big risk and it's not really a big risk. When I was 22, I bought a house and I kind of regret it because it kind of put me in a situation where now I had to work a full-time job and I couldn't kind of focus on other things. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a good investment because now I'm 9 years later, but things like that, you're living with your parents, right? Mm-hmm. But you're able to do the podcast. You're able to do the surf. You're able to cut grass. You're able to, I know the clippers thing you don't do too much more, but you're still able to take advantage of those and you don't necessarily have to worry about the financial burden of losing your house if you can't make a payment, right? I mean, you're doing well in all of those. You're doing well in the surfing and lawn cutting, and I know you're starting the podcast, and I know the clippers thing you kind of backseated, but there's not a lot of risk for you living at home. And I don't know, I think that makes it a lot easier if you have the opportunity. I mean, obviously toxic environment at home isn't going to help, but your parents are super supportive. So,
right. Yeah. I know I've talked on previous podcasts about that, the advantage of living at home as long as you can, as long as it's going good, and having supportive parents that help you with the business or kind of cater to your schedule and stuff is super important, because I know a lot of people start out young and it's tough if you have a tough schedule. Yeah. And especially living at home, you don't have to worry about the expenses, other stuff like that. And there's just a huge advantage, I think, to it. And also, even I've talked about in previous podcasts, staying at home for college too is a huge advantage, and going a technical college and saving money. What other things besides the staying at home thing, what do you think is good advice for a young or new entrepreneur or business owner that is just starting out, or kind of maybe in a stuck point right now?
Yeah. So I would say first off, start by don't get a job, find a place that's going to teach you something, right? So find a place that's going to teach you a skill, or how to sell things, or don't get a job just because it pays a lot, because you're not going to learn a ton you'll learn a ton from it, but then you'll be less interested in taking that risk of pursuing whatever your entrepreneurial dream is, like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, cool, you get a sales job and all of a sudden you're making a lot of money, but maybe you hate the sales job. You're going to
Yeah.
be less likely to quit though and start the side hustle that you've been working on, or because you have this job that's so secure. So that's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like one thing I'd recommend. If you're at a stuck point, try to find networking groups. There's so many Facebook groups that can kind of, if you're stuck, help you. Like, there's people in those groups that like to help people. They like to see people succeed. Um, I mean, I find that as a really easy way to kind of get over a stuck point. Um, People that are new to business and maybe it's not going well, look at things that you can change to maybe you're doing something really well, but you're not focusing on that. Maybe pivot a little bit. I'm trying to think of a good example. Maybe if you're mowing lawns, but you have a bunch of customers that want hardscaping,
Mm-hmm.
maybe, hardscaping pays more than cutting lawns. So maybe pivot
Mm-hmm.
to that.
Yeah.
Or I know that you've talked about surfing, but maybe you do luxury sunset cruises,
Mm-hmm.
different things like that. So, although you're doing surfing right now, maybe you kind of transition to the luxury um, sunset cruises because they pay more and they're a lot less work, and you don't have to spend as much gas because you're not driving around the lake. You're just
Mm-hmm.
you're cruising slowly or whatever. So stuff like that.
Yeah, I think what you're getting at is that entrepreneurs have to make these snap decisions like that can change their route, because sometimes you don't see what could be better than what you're doing right now, because you're making money fine, you're making 5,000 a month, but you could be making 10,000 doing the
Yeah.
hardscapes.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, including myself, you get stuck in that comfortable feeling where you're just cruising, you're on autopilot, but you got to step outside the box sometimes and get outside the comfort zone and learn from those new experiences and try new things. And if it doesn't work, go back to the old thing. Who cares?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
there's so many things I feel like that entrepreneurs should try and they never get around to it. But those snap decisions are so important. And I feel like that's what makes a good entrepreneur too, is that they're able to make those decisions on the fly and can pivot directions. That's one thing with a small business that you really big businesses can't do. I know it might not apply to our businesses since we don't have like huge competitors like some do, but we can make like snap decisions.
Oh, yeah.
We don't want this person anymore. They're out. New person in. Like,
Mhm.
I'm gonna do this party instead of this party. Quick decision.
Oh, yeah.
Big businesses couldn't do stuff like that and pivot their services that they offer and whatnot. So I think that's super important. Those quick snap decisions, and don't be afraid to pivot and get uncomfortable
Yeah.
sometimes.
Definitely, it's too for I know it's a lot of entrepreneurs. It's hard for them to delegate tasks.
Mm,
There's so many little tasks that entrepreneurs do that they don't delegate.
yeah.
That I think that that's something that I know I have to do better. But
Yeah.
I think a lot of entrepreneurs, they try to put it all on themselves. So if they can do a better job of delegating little tasks that they might think are huge,
Hmm.
it'll probably help.
Yeah. Can we talk about training a little bit too? I know I've struggled with training like people for like lawn mowing and stuff. I'm sure you train dealers and stuff to deal cards, and poker maybe is a new game for them, or roulette's a new game, and you got to teach them. How do you teach them and make them feel comfortable with doing a new game?
Yeah, so what we do for training is I will have somebody come to an event, because I feel like that's the best way to do it. I'll have them come to an event and I'll have them work with somebody who's super experienced at dealing or maybe has taught before. I have people that have worked at the Bellagio before. I have people that have worked at all these casinos in Vegas, and they have been doing it for 20, 30 years. So they like teaching people how to do it. So what I'll do is for the first, like, we'll say 2 to 3 times, I'll have somebody train and they'll sit with that person. They'll kind of, swap out, see how they're doing it.
Mhm.
And then that's a good way to filter out if people don't like doing it too, instead of bringing them and all of a sudden they hated it.
Yeah, right.
I've had that a few times. For us training, I've kind of been leaning more towards having people that already know how to do it. I have a big enough roster where I kind of don't want to train too many people.
Mhm.
That's just kind of how we've been doing it. We used to do a lot of trainings and stuff, but we're at the point where I have so many people that have, for us, hiring word of mouth has been the best. So I'm not getting a whole lot of like people who are green and dealing.
Gotcha. Awesome. Well, that's all I've got on the sheet here, and it was a great time talking to you. I know we've talked about entrepreneurial stuff and questions and helped each other out in the past, but I feel like it was good to sit down and talk about all these things. And
Yeah.
I feel like I learned a lot about the business too, and stuff that I didn't know, like printing checks and the software used and whatnot.
Yeah,
Just
definitely.
little things.
Yeah, the software has been game changer. You know, the CRM that we got, it's
Yeah.
just made everything easier from every perspective. You know.
And it's hard sometimes. I know for myself, I struggle to take the leaps of like buying a software or like paying for a thing, because I'm just like, oh, I'll just do it myself. Like I don't want to delegate it or buy the software because it's $10 a month. I don't want to spend
Yeah.
$10 a month. I'd rather just spend 5 hours doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what is that $200 a month really worth to you? Like, I don't know. That's the way I think about it.
Yeah, but sometimes, like you said, like QuickBooks is game changer for you.
Yeah, QuickBooks, our CRM that we got was game changer. So like doing the little things, yeah, definitely.
Totally. Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we'll see you next time.
Cool.
Perfect. That was fun.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah,
What do you think it went for?
I don't know. That's the thing I told Taylor.